Hello there, friends and lovers, witnesses of this experience of ours. I'm Dana Spirit Butterfly, and I'm here to offer you the next month's energy forecast. Of course, we're heading into the month of December. And I'm here at All Nations Park, which is in Northcote, nearby where I'm living for the moment. It's such a really beautiful park, and I do suggest that maybe you come on down because the energy here is pretty sound and harmonious, and I'm really enjoying these rocks and trees. In fact, you can't see all the trees in the video, but you know, head down if you can, if you happen to be in Melbourne. But today we're going to look a little bit into the lighter side of the experience that we're having at the moment. There is a lot of darkness on the planet, and there has been for quite some time. If you haven't tuned into any of these videos before, you'll be possibly unaware that we're going through a shedding process, or a process of releasing energy. And when we release energy, quite often the energy comes up as darkness. It comes up as what we call shadow. And that means that we start to become aware of behaviours or people or circumstances or situations that we just do not like, that doesn't seem to be something that we want for ourselves. It's quite common in the awakening process to have this experience where you start to realise that you spent a lot of your life being possibly completely blind to that which surrounds you. And this process of unravelling is very uncomfortable, but it's actually on trend. It's actually where we're heading. We're heading into a new future, a future where people are a little bit more real with their experience and a little bit more adult, if you will, with their experience. We've just come through a couple of decades of energy awareness or lack of awareness, where we have chosen to revel in our darkness and to ignore the suffering of others to substantiate our own ego. And this is a learned behaviour. It's kind of a post-World War II energy that comes from a mentality of lack. There was a time, of course, on the planet where there were significant areas of deficit, areas where people came in and they took your houses, they took your women and children. You know, your brothers and your fathers were taken from your family and put to the task of killing other men. We have and still ride on the back of this devastation across the planet, and so many of us are now excising all of this energy out of ourselves, which means that sometimes you need to be in a position of deprivation in order to have the physical experience, in order to recognize that the behavioral patterns and programs that you carry, that which tells you that you're supposed to do this for money and you're supposed to do that in order to be taken care of, to disarm those programs so that you see clearly another way, a new loving ways. And so November has been a very interesting experience. There's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows. As we mentioned previously in the previous video, it was very much impacted by the Mercury retrograde. And the Mercury retrograde is relatively harmless, but it becomes harmful when you refuse to recognize that communication and learning to communicate with others in a way that allows them to understand you better is your obligation, is your responsibility. Of course, we can never ever communicate in a way that someone can hear if they're not open to hearing it. It's that simple. But when you have a miscommunication, which is usually what the Mercury retrogrades are about, when you have a miscommunication with someone, sometimes it asks you, after the miscommunication has happened, to take a couple of steps back and to maybe have a think about whether or not what you said or what you did was actually in alignment with you, was actually your truth. Truth is an interesting thing in itself. So many of us believe that when we're saying something, we're being truthful, when actually what we say is being filtered through a program. And that program quite often is what we call the good girl, bad girl, good boy, bad girl program, which basically says that in order to be accepted, you have to be a particular way and you have to behave in a particular way. This program is an experience that is offered all of us on the planet, because it is the mode of belonging that is encouraged through our education system and through our parents telling us that this is right and this is wrong, when really, when we're children, we don't know that which we are told is right or wrong is generally what your parents have either been told because they think that that's what's supposed to be right or wrong, or that they've been trained themselves to believe that this is right and that is wrong. And often, look, your parents don't know any better. Quite often that which they express to you is that which they honestly believe is best for you, but it may not actually be what is best for you because it may not resonate with that which you see for yourself. And so as we start to get older and we start to become wiser, it serves us to be mindful of how we close the door on love because we believe that something is either right or wrong. And so many people go through their experience expecting people to behave in one particular way in order for it to be acceptable to you, but without the actual awareness that your desire to have that and your desire to express that in itself limits your field of experience. And so this whole year has very much been about you taking this as an opportunity to investigate how you express yourself, how it is you perceive your reality, so that you can make the necessary adjustments in order to accept and welcome new love in your life. There are so many people who have been saying to me, Dana, I'm ready for a relationship. I'm really ready for a relationship. It's time for me to be in a relationship. I want that man, I want that woman. I want to have the relationship that I feel like I deserve. And the universe says you deserve everything that you want. However, the universe also says that you don't actually know what it is you want, and you are not actually ready for what you want because what you're asking for is actually not fully declared in your conscious mind. And so many of you are unaware that when you ask for a man who is wealthy, when you ask for a man who's got all of his shit together, that firstly, very few men on the planet actually have all their shit together because let's face it, perfectionism is something that is not our reality. It's actually more of a fantasy and in itself is a judgment. But you yourself are not in that space. So how is it that you can declare to the universe that you want a man who's perfect when you yourself actually have some shit to work through? It's a little bit contradictory and it's a little bit unfair. And so the universe will often withhold from you the relationship that you crave in order to give you space to work on yourself. And so many of us decide that the universe is screwing with us, that the universe itself is actually harming us, and actually the universe is giving you an opportunity. From that perspective, heading into December, there's still a lot of opportunities for us to get communications wrong. We're still in the shadow period, the second shadow period of the Mercury retrograde until the 7th of December. And so there's still this period of time, about a week or two, where you're going to have still some communication issues where things are just not going to be clear. And let's be clear about this, when the external world misunderstands you, please just be present for the experience, watch yourself as you go through experience, and suspend your judgment on the other person or yourself about whether things are right or wrong. That in itself is really important because in order to relate to another human being, you need to suspend a certain amount of your judgment, because otherwise you're unable to be in the experience. You're actually then jumping into a part of you that says that the only thing I'll see is that which ticks these boxes, and anything outside of that, I have no ears to hear. And so many of us, again, fall into that. It's actually the way your brain tends to focus energy. But what I'm being assured is that this is the old-fashioned way of functioning. This is the fear-based reality that most of us exist in. Truthfully, you can fall in love with anybody. Truthfully, you could have a relationship with anybody. Truthfully, you could build a business around anything if you had enough passion around it. But so many people, they complain about all the things that they don't have in their lives without taking care of the passion, without taking care of the love that they have, that they choose to express in the world. Nobody's actually focusing on building the joy in your life because you're too busy making excuses for all the people who aren't showing up for you. And I'm really sorry, honey, when that happens, you've got to show up for you, because you're the person who's with yourself 24/7. So heading into December, this is still going to be around. And if you're going to struggle through December, I'm just going to ask you to please look at your spiritual tools, look at the things that allow you to take stock of how you're doing so that you're reflecting your experience and your expression. It's so important that you allow yourself to express yourself fully and openly without judgment. And that might mean you sit down with a pen and paper and you write, you know what, I just met this person and I hate this person and these are the reasons why. Now, your good girl and good boy program will probably block you from wanting to write that, but I say to you, go for gold, write it out. All the stuff that frustrates you, get it out of your system and allow yourself to express it. There's so many women here who have endocrine issues. A lot of it is thyroid related, and it's solely because you don't allow yourself freedom of expression. And what happens is that if you don't allow yourself freedom of expression, when there's a miscommunication, you will lose your shit. And when you lose your shit afterwards, you'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I do that to that person? I feel really terrible. So do the responsible thing. When you get frustrated, instead of venting all your crap out at other people, go home, pen and paper, even travel with a pen and paper, and write out all the stuff that's coming up for you. I want you to then put that aside, and you can give yourself a day or two and then look at it when you're actually a little bit calmer, and you'll hear the voice that is actually wanting to come through you. Once you acknowledge that it's there, then you can do something with it. If you don't do anything with it, it will continue to congest yourself here, and you'll find that the energy won't shift, and you'll end up with disease and illness, and you'll certainly end up with relationship difficulties where nobody's actually telling you that which you need to hear. That said, there's a time and a place for everything, and so quite often when we talk about these energy forecasts, we're talking a lot about the astral alignments, and that's because the planetary systems are magnetic and they offer us pockets of opportunity to work on particular things at different times. At the moment, relationships are a really big issue. Not just your relationships with other people, but also your relationships with yourself. So I would ask you to just be aware that if you are noticing that you're having dreams of old flames coming back, or if you're having messages from random exes appearing in your field, this is actually bang on in alignment with the planetary system. We are all clearing what it is to be in a relationship so that we can create new relationships that actually are functional, but also allow us to express ourselves and to connect on real and authentic levels. We need to clear the field before we're available for that though. So every opportunity you get to revisit some of the old relationships that have been a part of your story for some time, take the opportunity again to write out what actually happened so that you're voicing that which is in your system. It is the only way to allow yourselves to let go of the energy to accept new light into your field. If we keep asking for new light, the universe will keep giving us new opportunities. But if I do nothing with the old stuff, what will happen is the old stuff will want to come out like it's a volcano. It'll literally spew molten lava on everything and anything. And this essentially is inflammation in the body. And we know that inflammation in the body is helpful in many ways, but prolonged inflammation actually leads to disease and illness. So please just be careful of that. We have eclipse season also coming up, so expect a lot of lava. I just laugh because I've been there, I've done that before. The whole fire energy that's on the planet at the moment is pretty intense. Fire energy is a catalyst, and you have a choice after the fire has passed to either rebuild or to dwell on that which you've lost. Losing things is a part of nature. I'm really sorry, honey, if you've lost stuff in your life. I know that it's painful, but it's a part of your life, it's a part of nature. So just accept that these things happen. It's a part of you, me, and us, and this experience. It's just funny that, you know, there's a lot of dialogue on social media at the moment around the Indigenous ability here in Australia to manage the fire energy on the planet, and that they had always an understanding as to how the environment flowed in order for them to know when to burn appropriately and when to ease off in order to make sure that the fire that comes onto the land is less damaging, or at least is able to be maintained with some level of appreciation for wildlife. And here, the colonized energy here just doesn't understand how to work with the land. In fact, we're severely disconnected from the land. And I suspect that me being Anglo-Saxon and a part of the colonized invasion from my ancestry, that's why I feel very strongly drawn to bring my Celtic magic out here into this beautiful park and to the nature reserves of Australia. Eclipse season, of course, so that's the full moon and the new moon. The first eclipse is going to be a solar eclipse, and that'll be on the 12th or the 13th of December, depending on where you are. We also have the 12/12 portal opening on the 12th of December. We're running an online call, if that's interesting to you, to be able to understand how to work with that particular frequency. But it really does help. All of these spiritual practices, they all are just a part of your tools, the tool belts to assist you to develop greater flow in your life, to be able to roll with what comes and to have that internal resilience. December is going to challenge that. The second eclipse will be on the 26th of December and the 25th of December in the States, in the Northern Hemisphere. Sorry, not all of the Northern Hemisphere. I get so confused because most of my base is in Australia or the US and Canada. But the 25th, 26th is clearly after Christmas, and that particular, it will be a full moon. That particular full moon is very much going to be about contrast, because the sun and the moon are in a particular alignment. And so this is where the internal and external world kind of comes into conflict, and you'll be very much torn between what you want versus what you need. You'll be very much torn between money versus pleasure. You'll be very much torn between whether or not you honor your actual family versus your inherited family. There are going to be these conflicts of offerings, and the conflicts themselves are really just offering you an opportunity to take ownership of where you're at with yourself and your relationships. When you do have a good communication strategy with your internal world, you'll find the external world won't irritate you. You know, it's that saying that, other people's conflicts can't irritate you if you yourself have healed. But if you are unhealed with regards to particular things, then when other people screw up or when other people do things that are less than perfect, you'll find it'll trigger you. And so December will offer us very much this type of energy. From that perspective, I think we'll leave that there. We've given you quite a lot for this month. Also, I'm going to do a 2020 forecast closer to the mid to the end of December, and give that as an offering to you guys so that you can prepare for what's coming. Next year is going to be so amazing for so many people, but once again, a lot of you are going to feel like you've missed opportunities if you haven't got your ducks lined up, if you haven't already started that internal head-heart alignment. You need to be out in the world. You need to be seen in the world. Most of you know this, most of you feel this, but if you don't have a communication strategy as to how to get the internal knowledge base that you've already attuned to, that is your soul gift to give to the planet, then you're going to find that this is just going to be an issue for you for the rest of your life. And that's suffering, ladies, men, gentlemen. That's suffering, and I don't want you to suffer. The earth doesn't want you to suffer. Your parents don't want you to suffer. Your kids don't want you to suffer. Your friends don't want you to suffer. They all want health and happiness and light and love for you, but they may not be communicating well with you. You've got a choice. Do I give them the power to manipulate me? Hell no is my answer. I don't know what yours is, but my experience of this life is that when I take ownership of me and I start to feel in myself and my soul and allow that voice in this life, then I find that my external relationships give me, and they give me tenfold. And I'm so proud to be reconnected and in love with my family again. It's definitely been a really hard won experience, but if this is something that you would like to acquire, if this stability is something that you desire for yourself, then please reach out. www.danaspiritbutterfly.com. That's D-A-N-A spiritbutterfly.com. You can check out what my offerings are, and there's a book now button for you to click. But if you'd like to get across some of the online calls and events, I have a number of them. I have a healing circle now in Fitzroy North that will continue for a little while. I will be opening up some services in Williamstown in the new year, including some new tango classes for those of you who love the movement practices. But also my online offerings are still going forth, and I really miss my US and my Canadian brethren. You guys gave me breath when I thought that I'd lost it, and I'm really happy to bring that back to Australia and to share that with people here. So please let's keep in touch and connecting with each other. I really am grateful for this experience and to share this with you. So all the best. Please be well, take care of you. Know that help is always on its way. All you need to do is ask and allow for the spirit to be received. Kisses. My love to you. Spirit loves you. Please love you. All right. Take care, my friends. See you.